Alright, welcome to SOS. I'm Staff Sergeant Badass. Alright, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about the Prepper's Library and books you could get, or books that you don't necessarily need books, to be honest. I mean, you could start off somewhere and get yourself some quick references, because if say, our current president that we have right now doesn't decide to leave office and upsets Russia, and Russia decides to do World War III, well, we might have a tactical nuke over our head, and then boom, lights out, blackout, and well, then you might be reading books. So there you go. Then you'll have something to do. You can read books. Yep. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so I cover some bushcraft type stuff, and I'm kind of doing some leathercraft with you guys so you can learn a few things about that, and I hope you get into it because it's fun. I make all kinds of gun holsters and whatnot that I might need. Alright, so now I'm going to tell you a quick story before I get through some books with you guys. Now, anything, it's just like any prep that you have. You've got food, right? You got water, you've got all your other tools and gadgets and doodads and all the stuff that you do for prepping, right? And, you know, firearms, weapons, things like that you might do to, at some point you might have to go back to hunting and fishing, so it's always good to keep that in mind. Now, one thing that me and a friend did, well, you've heard a couple of times in my videos, we do these hiking trips where we go out and we practice some of the primitive living stuff that we want to practice. Anything from we want to do like mud huts and stuff like that, and making an axe from raw materials like say a rock, and then split it and then turn it into an axe, or build and make a knife. Last trip out I made a primitive bow, and it worked. It was great. It only lasted for a while during the trip, but then it started to wear down. I tried, I did fire hardening and things like that. So I learned a lot of cool stuff on the last trip, and we ran into people on our way out, because there were hikers in the mainland area as we were going in, and they just kind of stopped us, and we were wearing fatigues and from our prior military service and stuff for our trip. It's rugged, so it lasts a little bit longer, and we were headed in, and like, oh, you guys are veterans, like, yeah, and thanked us for our service. And then we were talking about what we were headed to do, and they were like, oh God, you're going where? And yeah, we're going that way. And then we were approaching people as we passed through one section. It was 20 miles through, and it's like, where'd you guys come from? Because we come out onto another main road, and nobody comes back here. And it's like, where'd you guys come from? 20 miles that way. Oh man, you know. So our adventures get pretty crazy, and I just wanted to share that with you. But we practice some of the stuff that we read, and we read a lot of stuff. And now, I've said it before in a previous video, someone commented about it. Knowledge is lightweight, and you can take it anywhere. And if you start reading through some books, you'll pick up on a few things, and you practice them, and then knowledge will be lightweight, and you can take it anywhere. I don't have to carry a bunch of books with me, and I don't need all these books, right? But it's good to get them and get them started. And a good book, some good books to start with, for Bushcraft 101. I've read this book front and back. It's the backcountry book. It's another one that you'll find pretty often in any bookstore. But it's another great read. It's got snares, traps and snares and things like that. Just be careful with traps and snares, because it can get you in trouble. It's only good in a pinch. Say you don't have a rifle, and it is a survival scenario, and you've got no other options but to use traps and snares to get yourself some food, right? So that's a good one. And then Wildwood Wisdom was great. Anything from making your own gear, tents, bow drills. When it comes to just bow drills, any type of primitive drill, total primitive living all the way through. Anything from making a canoe, making clothes, building shelters, different types of shelters, mud huts, and yada yada. Wildwood Wisdom. If you guys like that primitive technology channel that's on YouTube, all that stuff's in here, every bit of it, and you can sit and read about it and learn what to do and actually what that guy is doing and why he is doing it from this book. All right, Wildwood Wisdom. I've read this book all the way through. I've read it so much it's actually got some kinks in its spine a little bit, but I've read this thing multiple times. Great book. All right, edible plants and medical plants. All right, now this is one that you're going to have to go out. Now, if you're familiar with the SAS survival book, the author of that book writes several books. He's got an entire survival series. All right, his last name is Peterson or something like that. I'm not going to get into it, but the thing is, I don't think he's around anymore. I've been told he passed away or whatever, but sorry, I don't mean to upset anybody. All right, but go get his survival series. His survival series is good. I've got most of his survival series. I don't have it here with me on the table, but one of his smaller edible plant books I actually keep in one of my bags that I go out with. I'm still learning about a lot of other plants that I can mess around with. I've even learned about a few mushrooms. Now be careful with mushrooms. Mushrooms are kind of a no-go on most planes. But some can be used for many different uses, so it's always good to see the uses. And I love how it explains, even in here, and in this is just another edible plant book. You can get edible plant books all day long, all over the place. Now, the good thing about them is it tells you how to make teas out of them and things like that, like where to get vitamin C from. It's kind of like pine needles, and you can get your vitamin C from that and things like that. It's blackberry concoctions and things like that you can do. It's awesome. But yeah, this is another good one to have, and it's just to try and read and study as much as you can. Then when it's just like ferns. You can eat the tops out of a fern and stuff like that. It's something that we would do out. We didn't want to crack open an MRE, so we feasted on all the other things. Now, like poke salad, for example, if you ever look up the plant poke salad, I learned about this through there, how toxic the plant is and how you have to boil the leaves to actually be able to eat any of it. So, and the berries are too toxic. They're only fit for like animal consumption, but the toxins are too strong for a human being to eat. So it would be very unfortunate for you to eat them. All right, and some other ones. This is another good one to get if you want a good read and some good situational survival guide. This is a great one. This one talks about everything. Now, it's almost like the SAS, How to Survive Anything type books, where say you're plummeting from an elevator, how to survive an elevator plummet. Woo! There's a lot of stuff, and it talks about situational awareness and how to identify threats and all sorts of crazy stuff. It all kind of comes together when you read it. You're like, wow, you know what? I didn't think of that before, but now that I've read this, now I can see where that would play out. But this is a great book to have, just knowledge. When you go back and read it again, it's got different disasters, earthquakes, tornadoes, winter storms, all sorts of stuff, grid down, things like that. All that stuff's in here. It covers every bit of that. Great book to read. It's always good. Like, I've got the 15th edition of the pill book. In an emergency situation, I need to know about pills. It's end times type deal. It's just another knowledgeable thing for me, and knowing what I find if I have to scavenge for stuff. This is something good to have. Now, in the medical sense, Sippy Cup, she keeps books like the Physician's Desk Reference. Now, this isn't a cheap book, and she has it for a reason. So if you are in this field, then this would be a great book for you. Me, I'm not going to sit and read through this, but she will, which is cool. Now, if in the event I have to, then all right. But that's kind of for her, and knots, sutures. It's good to know. Everybody gets it wrong. I watch videos, and she watches videos, and we catch them doing it wrong all the time, and they screw it up. And she knows, so she's, well, why'd they do that? And why'd they touch it? Don't touch it! You know, like, it's funny to watch her watch the videos, like, what are you doing? You know, it's awesome. But anyways, emergency war surgery. It's always good to have something, a quick reference for it. Now, it's a good book to have. That one was by the Department of the Army. Now, you having these books, now when I say knowledge is like weights, you're not going to memorize all this stuff. But now, if you're in that medical field, you're going to learn as much as you can, and you're going to memorize a lot of stuff. Now, that's for that field, right? It's just like my reloads. When I reload ammunition, for example, I've got reloading books out the wazoo, right? Another good one, like I read through these so much, and I use them so much and so often, that I do have a lot of reloading stuff. But with reloading, and just like with medicine, it's always good to go back and double check your facts, just like it is with reloading ammunition, because one can get you killed, get a person killed, and the other one can get a person killed, right? So it's just like my references for my reloads. I don't say, oh, well, that's, you know, that's 5 grains of powder, you know, whatever, and then I put it in there and blow my gun up and blow my hand off, you know, or that's this many for this and that many for that for medical purposes. You know, you just give them a little bit of this and they'll be okay, and then they end up dying. See what I mean? So you see where these books can be important for that reason. Don't mind Sippy Cup. She's just quilting. She's working her way around me. Alright, well, I've got my Lyman's 49th edition. Nothing wrong with that. For all you people who want to get into reloading. Now, if you want to get into reloading shotgun shells, I highly recommend this book right here. This is the Shotgun Shell Reloading Handbook. This is the 5th edition, and it's got everything you need, even from playing with lead. There you go. Another good one. Well, the Trapper's Bible. I didn't cover that a while ago. Well, hang on one second while I was in the reloading section here. It's good to have a good prepper's library. Memorizing as much as you can for certain situations. Yeah, you know what I mean? Reloading Manual 14. This is spear bullets. Not bad. It's good for some. Like, what hand loads I'll find in one book, I won't find in this. What hand loads I won't find in another book, I'll find in this. See what I mean? That's the reason why I keep so many reloading books. It's always good to start a collection of reloading books and then start reading through the thing. And it gives you their take on reloads. So you can get a better understanding than listening to me run my flap from reading some of the data that they've put in their books for you to read. You'll get a better understanding of stuff and what to look for. Trapper's Bible. Okay, now this is what I was trying to tell you about a while ago, the trapping. Now they've got some trapping in Bushcraft 101 and in the Wildwoods book, but the Trapper's Bible has all things trap and animals, and, you know, from large animals to small animals to fish to turtles to snakes. Right here. This is a good book for that purpose. Now, raising goats. I didn't know how to raise goats. I don't have any buddies that raise goats, so I've got to read about raising goats, right? Just saying. Raising chickens. My parents raised chickens, and they've had some interesting stories. Now, real life experiences are a little bit different than reading the book, but it also says in the book things to look for and things that could happen, right? It's just like with food storage, preserving meat, dairy, eggs, all other stuff. It's got canning. This is a good introduction if you're wanting to get into canning or raising chickens or raising anything or doing anything with homesteading, right? This is a good homesteading startup book. If you don't have any friends or anyone you can talk to or any knowledgeable sources, this will get you started and get you in the right path you need to go. It also does cover what happens when you leave a dead carcass nearby and then comes the critters, say the raccoons and other critters, and how they find their way through chicken wire and kill your chickens. Yeah, if you get a carcass, take it far away, not near the nest. You know what I mean? People learn the hard way. But covers that in raising chickens, different types of chickens. If you want to learn, that's another good one. Prepper's Gardening Handbook. Now I got this just messing around. It was a couple of bucks. Yeah, it wasn't fantastic. I'm just going to throw that out there, but I guess I probably just ruined it for whoever wanted to buy this book. But find a better gardening book. This is just common knowledge, general stuff. I mean, Prepper's Survival Guide. I got this thinking it was going to be something fantastic. No. Some of these books are no-go. Don't even bother. They're like stuff you probably already know. You're like, oh, well, I already knew that. You know, why did I get this? Zombie Survival Guide. Nothing wrong with this book at all. It covers a lot of ground with a lot of things you wouldn't have thought of, and it's good good ideas, some things to think about. I'm not saying it's reality or anything. You know, it is a fictional book, but it's fun, right? It's fun, and it kind of gets you thinking. It gets your gears turning in other directions. Yeah, I didn't think about that. It might help. Of course, you've got to have Chris Kyle's American Sniper. Everybody's got to have that. Wasteland. These are just fictional books. Wasteland wasn't bad, and there's a few sections that were useful. Then when it starts kind of getting into aliens, I'm like, whoa. But yeah, it's got like every type of thing, and it gets into another thing that's just, you're like, whoa, now we're dealing with aliens. We went from zombies to this, to that, to this, to aliens. Like, whoa. It gets a little crazy. But anyways, it's just different. It's short stories. Bunch of short stories. For those of you who like short stories. Revolution. Gotta have that one. Yep, there we go. Yep, gotta have that Revolutionary War. I'll get back to the serious books in just a second. Keep Your Crowbar Handy. That's a great book if you ever get a chance. It's got some smutty scenes in it, but it's alright. Chuck Plantis, anything by him is great. The Survivor. Fight Club, most amazing book on the planet. What to do when your child gets sick. Why not? Hey, it's got some good stuff in it. It's not a lot, but it's got some decent stuff in it. I think I got that one for free. There's a couple of them I've gotten for free. Great book to get. Great book. They have a YouTube channel. This is Doom and Bloom. Dr. Bones and Nurse. We'll look them up. Anyway, they have a YouTube channel. I have it on my main page as exceptional channels to watch. But yeah, they are great, and this is a great book to get. And they have other new books that they've already put out, but they even have a board game. It's ridiculous. It's a survival board game. Thought about getting it. Hey, board games. You know, Doomsday Time. You might want to play a board game, right? Finding Your Way Without a Map or Compass. Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Gave me some ideas. And actually, I got to read this one again. I only read it once, so I'm going to have to read that one again. I got to set that one over there. I totally forgot. Alright. How to Clean Practically Anything. Mini Farming. This one was good. This one was really good. Yeah. If you want to have a garden, you want to make it solid, this is good. Oh, long-term survival guide. This wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. I liked it because it covers everything, you know. Code word dictionary was just for fun. I thought it was cool because I kind of chuckled at some of it because being in the Marines and some of the stuff I've heard, it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. But guidebook for Marines wasn't bad. Hey, I've had this thing for years, and I gave this to the wife. Well, she actually stole it from me and started reading through it. It covers NBC, covers land navigation, covers all sorts of stuff, packing and gear and some self-defense type stuff, and it's got some crazy things. But yeah, she said she was really I don't know what it was afterwards when she said afterwards the take on this was just whoa, like whoa. Anyway, but this was a good book. It's always good when someone's just here, read this. Whoa. Yeah, that's a good book. Alright. So, knowledge is power, right? And knowledge is lightweight. You can carry it anywhere. So, Prepper's Library. Now, this is just a tip of a little bit of it. I've got other books throughout the house and stuff all over the place. Now, it's always good that way. If something does happen, I can always go, well, let's see if this says anything about it. I'm not recommending this for everybody, but get picky about your picks. You know, what book you're going to be spending the money on it. This I've collected over years. I've got a lot of books, and there's nothing wrong with keeping them, but read them. You have to read them when you get them, because it's not going to do you any good when the disaster hits and you waited till the last minute to decide to read a book. It's not a good time. Oh man, I got to learn about being a surgeon. Oh, all right, well I better start reading now. You know, it's probably a bad time. So get the book, read it now, and then you'll be ready. It's just like NBC and stuff like that. I was an RPPM in the military. I was basically that's respiratory protection manager, and I had to cover NBC. I had to cover all that stuff, and getting a mask to fit your face correctly. Yes, you have to lose the beard. In some exceptions, if in an emergency you ain't got no time, then if you've got some Vaseline nearby, you better start lubing that face up and then suctioning that cup on. So N95 wouldn't work very good, would it? But those are for particulates. You know, your N95s are for particulates and dust. It's not going to protect, an N95 is not going to protect you from any kind of chemicals and gases, just so you know. If you're going to be dealing with gases or chemicals, you're going to need a gas mask, just for you hippies out there, so you know the difference. Alright, I am Staff Sergeant Badass. You're watching SOS. I hope you enjoyed my show. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Alright, later.